Hold on. What's up, everybody? How's it going? Welcome back. Welcome back to Filling in the Gaps. How's everybody doing today, tonight, this evening, wherever you guys are listening in from? Where's everybody listening in from? What's up, everybody? Jazzy's here. Desert Druzy, poetically speaking. First Liberties podcast. Another long stream. I don't know. Quite possibly. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how I feel. Let me just make sure we do a little bit of housekeeping here and turn on all the comments. How is everybody doing today? Nashville's in the house, Arizona. Hello again, everybody. I feel like I've seen everybody like a few times today. How's it going? Welcome back. Welcome back. Oceanside is in the building. Okay. Hello. What's up, our legal eagle? Sore and tired in Michigan. I can say the same thing here in Los Angeles. Sore and tired in LA. Innocent Killer, how's it going? Welcome. Wisconsin. Is that Wisconsin? WI? Hello, Naomi. Oh, holla, Naomi. Ramona. Ramona's on Twitch. You guys were streaming on YouTube, Twitch, and Kick. So if you guys are in the vertical mode on YouTube and you guys don't like your view, you can change it. Just go to my page and select the live that you want to watch. Oh, Bean Baby. I was telling us, I was tripping out after you sent me that video, and I'm going to show it to you guys. You guys, we got some haters because somebody made a video of me and the Kick streamer that I was with yesterday and said that I was a part of David's Goon Squad. Can you guys believe that? Can you guys believe that? I am tuning in from work. You're here till 5 a.m. So stream as long as you want. Yikes. Well, we'll see what I can do. Don, North Alabama will welcome everybody. You guys are from everywhere. That means you guys are like in the future, so it's a lot later than 9 p.m. Put a 1 in the chat if you guys want to see that video. I'm about to show you guys. Shout out to Bean Baby for keeping an eye out and letting me know about this video, because when I seen it, I was like, oh hell. How does what is strategic put? Oh hell no. Oh, you guys really want to see it, huh? All right, Bean Baby. Shout out to Bean Baby for sending me this video, because she found this. Let me know. All right, I'm gonna find it for you guys. Let me see. You guys ready for this? Okay, hold on. You guys can hear it for sure. So let me go ahead and share this with you guys. I'm not gonna lie though, when I seen it, it made me laugh. I was in the background of a lot of news networks. Oh, what? I was? That's crazy. All right, you guys ready to see this? I'm about to show this to you guys. Here we go.
David and his goons circle around today's trial.
Hold on, we're gonna mute this. Can you guys see that? I'll just play some music in the background. We're not gonna play the song. Somebody caught us in 4K and thought that we were a part of David's Goon Squad. Hell no. First of all, let me say hell no. Anybody who knows we are not for David over here. Yeah, not David's goons. What idiots, right? Yeah, what? I am not a gooner. Yeah, so I'm gonna send you guys a link in the chat. Do me a favor, just go report it. Go report it. There's the link in the chat. I know. I need one of those buttons that says hell no. Crazy, you guys. They got me looking all. I'm not gonna lie, that makes me look hella sus. They don't know me. They definitely don't. But that gentleman that I met, his name is Chenzo, and he streams on Kick. And we're streaming on Kick too. So shout out to Chenzo. But anyways, what do we have lined up for today? So we're going to be talking about a few things. We're going to talk about We're going to be talking about the charges that he faced. We're just going to have a discussion, right? Because we're not going to get too into like the details about it. But I'm curious to know what all of you guys think, because obviously you guys saw me yesterday at the courthouse standing around waiting, doing absolutely nothing but twiddling my thumbs, to come to find out that the press conferences was going to take place in a different building. And I had no idea. So yeah, maybe we'll reach out to him. But you know what? He was telling me that a lot of people in his chat they're all trolls. So, you know, to the beautiful people that are here in this live, I appreciate you guys for being such a dope group of people. You guys have been really dope. And then, you know, the people who are just kind of out of place, you know, the chat notices and the mods just kind of handle it from there. So, you know, we like to keep it chill around here, right? So we're going to talk about the charges. We're going to talk about a story that we talked about months ago, right? Remember how I told you that there were multiple victims, right? There has now been a victim statement that has come out. So we're going to be talking about that and see, you know, I want to get your thoughts on everything. Yeah, do me a favor. Carenza says, hit the like button, you guys. It's free. All we're trying to do. I appreciate you. I mean, Blondie. Thank you. Those might get taken down soon. A lot of people have been reporting it, so I appreciate you. Yeah, don't feed the trolls. Don't feed the trolls. So, the charges, you guys. How do you guys feel about these charges? Do you guys feel like these charges are good? Or do you think that they are not good? What's everybody's thoughts about it? I want to know what everybody's thoughts are. I'm going to turn this down just a little bit. David won't get off, in my opinion. I hope not, Peekaboo. I hope not. But I feel like 40 terabytes of evidence is something that is going to be irrefutable, right? There's no way. I don't know. I just think it's crazy. Yeah, hit the like button like it's David's face. There you go. Let him know, Kimberly. Let him know. So let's talk about these charges, you guys. Well, really quick, just kind of briefly skim through these, right? Because we know that there were 3 charges that were brought against David Anthony Burke. And the first count is the first count of murder. Penal Code Section 187. And sorry, you guys, I'm sorry if you guys have heard this over and over and over again, but we haven't actually I haven't had a chance to actually just sit down and digest everything. And I wanted to, you know, take the time to do it with you guys. And you guys have probably heard, you know, a ton of other subscribers talk about it. So you guys can share any of the insight that you've learned from them, because this is a place where we can share and talk about it, right? So the Penal Code Section 187A, a felony was committed by David Anthony Burke, who did unlawfully, with malice aforethought, murder Celeste R., a human being. Notice the above offense is a serious felony within the meaning of Penal Code Section 1192.7C, and a violent felony within the meaning of Penal Code Section 667.5C. Let's see. So that was count 1. It's further alleged that the murder of Celeste R. was intentional and was carried out by a defendant, David Anthony Burke, for financial gain. So this right here, you guys, it seems to be the motive for everything that kind of went down, financial gain. This guy committed a 187 so that he could maintain his very expensive lifestyle, right? He wanted to continue touring, just like his manager said. That's what he wanted to do. He wanted to tour and continue. I hope he rots in jail forever, right, Carenza? Me too. The investigation is not done, and there will be a ton of excluding evidence before we start, and who knows what they have. I'm very, very curious to see what LAPD has. Obviously, they have the power to subpoena a ton of stuff, while we out here just have the power of the internet and the power of these investigative sleuths online who have been doing God's work on places like Reddit, right? Type of one in the chat if you guys are active on Reddit, whether you just read it or you post content on there. And then and if you post on the David subreddits, because right now I think there's currently 3 subreddits. Trapmore Ross, okay. Innocent Killer, you're active on Reddit. Hope, Jad, Satire. So which one is it? You guys just read, or are you guys active in like posting too? You guys don't necessarily. I don't want you guys to disclose like your handles and whatnot. I'm just curious if you guys are active in posting, reading, etc. Okay. Okay. We got some 1s, got some 2s. I mostly read. Cool. I mean, there's a ton. There are hundreds, maybe even thousands of people who are coming to the Reddits on a daily just to kind of read and see what the scoop is. And it's crazy the stuff that you can read on there, the stuff you'll find out about this case, you know? And if you guys want to know everything about this timeline with David and Celeste and everybody surrounding David and his inner circle, not our inner circle, but David's inner circle, that's a great place to go, because there is a plethora of information that you can see. I wonder who is feeding misinformation to TMZ, trying to push the narrative for sure. I don't know. Maybe it was done on purpose. Yeah, we normally we share some of the stuff on Reddit, but the post that I'll show you where the third victim speaks out, that definitely came directly from Reddit. Let's see. So we talked about the potential motive, right? Financial gain within the means of Penal Code Section 190.2. It is further alleged that pursuant to Penal Code, that Celeste was a witness to a crime and was intentionally killed because of that fact. Oh, Lord. It is further alleged that the murder of Celeste Rivas was committed by defendant David Anthony Burke, and that the defendant intentionally killed the victim by means of lying in wait. So these are the special circumstances, right? Let's see. This one is count 2. Let's share this one. Count 2. It says on or before. Hold on. Where are we at? Okay, it's further alleged that in the commission and attempted commission of the above offense, the said defendant David Anthony Burke personally used a deadly and dangerous weapon to wit, sharp instrument, said use being element of the above offense within the meaning of Penal Code Section 12022B1, and causing the above offense to be a serious felony within the meaning of Penal Code Section 1192.7C23. All right, you guys, so this is crazy. So if you see the first date that's listed right here, right, it says September 7th, 2023, which is roughly about 3 years ago, right? September 7th is Celeste's birthday. Isn't that crazy? So I don't know if they've been watching this guy ever since or what, but they have September 7th, 2023, all the way up to September 7th, 2024 in the county of LA. The crime of continuous sexual abuse in violation of Penal Code. Okay, a felony was committed by David Anthony Burke, who did unlawfully engage in 3 and more. You guys, you hear that? 3 and more acts of substantial sexual conduct, and 3 and more lewd and lascivious acts. Okay, I'm just gonna skip the penal codes, right? With Celeste, a child who was under the age of 14 years, while the defendant resided with and had recurring access to the child. So you hear that? It's saying right here that Celeste actually lived with David from time to time. This is crazy, you guys. I know, we all thought this was a possibility, right? We've seen the Reddits indicating that she did stay there, but now this is in black and white. The defendant resided with her and had recurring access to the child. Let's see. The above offense is serious felony within meaning of Penal Code. Conviction of the offense will require the court to order you to submit to a blood test for evidence of antibodies to the probable causative agent of AIDS. Interesting. Being charged with this criminal offense can result in mandatory pre-conviction. Ooh, imagine. That would be crazy if he had it. I think she was 11 when they met gaming online. Yeah. Which is what? If you're 11, what grade are you in? -6, so you're probably 5th grade. Drunk Turkey Show, what up, Jan? Oh, Dan, how's it going? Welcome. Caught you live earlier. I was checking it out. How you doing? This is crazy, though, you guys. I'm curious if this is just something that they do with all, all people that they're about to put into the system. I mean, I can't tell you anything more about this. I'm curious myself. So, mandatory pre-conviction HIV/AIDS testing and disclosure of the results to a victim and the chief medical officer of the jail or prison facility where you are incarcerated pursuant to Penal Code, Health and Safety Code section, following a probable cause hearing, resulting in a court order. Let's see. Oh, so he is going to be registering as an SO, you guys. This is crazy. This is good. This is good, though. And then we're going to go to count number 3. So they're saying that on May 5th, which is also known as Cinco de Mayo, right, in the county of Los Angeles, the crime of unlawful mutilation of human remains in violation of Health and Safety Code Section 7052, a felony was committed by David Anthony Burke. Now, here in the paperwork, it only states his name, but there's no confirmation if David actually had help or if somebody actually testified and was granted immunity upon their testimony in the grand jury. So I think this is going to be some bombshell of news that we're going to find out. And I wonder if anybody else is going to be named in this. They give AIDS tests to all incoming prisoners. Okay, good to know. Good to know. On May 5th, is there any significance in the schedule for that day? That's something that I'm currently looking into right now, Dan. We can definitely pull up a timeline and see where he was on that day. So it's a great idea, though, because I do want to know. Hold on. Let me make sure, because we have a mega time. Let me see. There's a mega timeline on this, and let me make sure that I can share this. Let me pull this up really quick. So let's take a look. Open image in a new tab. Bring this right over here, because that's a great point, Dan. Thank you for bringing that up, because I haven't actually had a chance to take a look at the timeline, and you guys are going to see it here. All right, so let's see. We're going to talk about this right here, right? So we know that on April 23rd, right here. So it doesn't actually have anything specifically for 4/23, but there was 4/25/25, the album Withered was supposed to be released, right? I'd love to know why his parents pulled him out of school. Was he already showing signs of being a weirdo at that point? He probably was, right? We know that David's been a weirdo for a long time. Mac Dizzle, you're here. You are here. So I think it's very ironic, though, right? That she lost her life on April 23rd. It's believed that she lost her life on April 23rd, and 2 days later, the Withered album was supposed to come out. They dropped the Withered album. And it's believed that this Withered album was just a complete story of his experience going through the motions of getting rid of Celeste. Dan said, I personally think that he broke up with her. She threatened to report him. She was feisty, and then he invited her over, and it went south, obviously. I think so. That's probably exactly what happened, right? He probably pretended to kind of, say things were better, that he missed her, and kind of lured her back to the house. But I also want to know, how did Celeste get back to David's house? Because we know, as a 14-year-old, she's definitely not driving. Although I do think that at some point, David let her drive the Tesla. right? That she was probably learning or, practicing driving on that Tesla. Enforcer Motorsports said, I remember Steve said they found a knife in a bowl in one of the closets of the mansion. And yes, that is absolutely true. And we actually have those photos. Got to find them really quick, though, because where are they at? Let me see. Because we do have a photo of all the knives that were found in the house. But I do have to find them. Here we go. Found them. So do you guys remember this? This was also in the music video. But look at all these knives. He's got a knife. He's got a sheet. It's got blood all over it. Isn't this crazy? So he definitely, he probably had Uber pick her up. That's what I was thinking earlier this afternoon. Either that or somebody at his home went and picked her up, right? Jury consultant and an expert in body language and facial expressions, he gave his thoughts on David, and it was interesting. Tambos, send me that link. J Rabbit said he must have had picked her up. So, well, the court documents specifically say that she came to him, right? But I don't know if that could also mean that he went to pick her up. I think that he could have sent a car. Probably, right? I know that the first time that it was reported that she was missing and the email was sent, they said that the very next day that she was returned home. Does anybody remember if it was law enforcement that took her home? Or was it somebody from David's side that took her home? Jay Brady, you're back. How does it feel? Your boy got arrested. How you feeling about that? And then it said that she was allegedly unalived with a sharp object. Are you guys thinking knife? Ava Black, how's it going? Welcome. For there to be documentation of threats, I suspect that they weren't together when the argument started, or it would have been over text. I can't wait for that to come out. All that information to come out, right? First Liberty's podcast said the DA only said she was invited over. He won't say anything specific until the details are unsealed. The doc said lying in wait, so for me that means she went to him. Oh yeah, he was definitely lying in wait, meaning that he got her by surprise. More likely had her dropped off. So Jay Brady said, do you think that they have enough to say he actually did the murder? Absolutely. The DA's office said that they have enough evidence without, to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that he did it. So look, while all of us have been upset that law enforcement, right? And for me, it's a completely different tone now. And you can include me in that group of people that was very upset that law enforcement and the DA's office were not doing anything, right? Because we later found out that they've been busting their ass from the start, which will lead me to the first video that we're going to talk about, right? Because while the DA and LAPD say that they have been working in lockstep, right? TMZ is refuting that and saying that they still believe that they're like doubling down, right? They're saying Mark Garagos is calling BS on all of this. So let me take you to the first video we're going to talk about, because TMZ, Mark Garagos, is saying cops and DA being in lockstep is total BS. Let's go ahead and play this really quick.
Absolutely taking issue with something you said on our podcast. You said that the LAPD essentially went rogue and decided to arrest David, Thursday late afternoon because the DA wasn't taking action and that it would force the DA's hand to do something. The DA's office told us as recently as this morning on the record that everything the DA and LAPD did was in lockstep and that this was coordinated. To that, you say what?
I call BS on that, by the way, because the fact, if it was coordinated and if they were going to bring a special circumstance, no bail, 3 different special circumstances charge, they would have filed a criminal complaint or they would have gotten an indictment. There's gamesmanship happening here, and you will continue to see gamesmanship, because I'm going to make another bold prediction. They did not expect the defense to fail to waive time, meaning normally what they would have expected in the DA's office is they dump terabytes of information on the defense. The defense says, Your Honor, we don't have time to digest all of this. We need more time. We're going to waive our right to a speedy preliminary hearing. They didn't do that. The defense did. They actually made the next chess move and said, we're not waiving time. We want our speedy preliminary hearing, which pushes back on the DA, who's now going to have to call an audible and try to go to the so-called investigative grand jury, which I find to be hilarious. And they will go get an indictment because they're not going to put witnesses on in a case where 2 months, you guys may remember this, 2 months after her discovery of her body, LAPD was saying, we're not even sure a crime was committed.
So Chloe said, so excited for more information on Thursday if the prelim ends up happening. So Chloe, can you explain to us, is there a possibility for it not to take place and for it not to go through? I'm really curious because you said if the prelim ends up happening.
So understand everything that has happened here. This was LAPD after they received information that when they went outside of the ME's office, medical examiner's office, they then forced the DA to file this case. The idea that after 7 or 8 months of an investigation where you put witnesses.
So for you guys, Jay Brady's in the chat, and you know, Jay Brady's been, you know, he's been on the channel in the chat too, and you know, although he may have a different perspective, his different perspective is okay here, right? And I saw the little back and forth in the chat. You guys just be cool. Jay Brady doesn't cause any disruption. You know, he may have a different point of view, and that's very much appreciated here. You know, but let's keep the back and forth chill.
In front of a grand jury, and then all of a sudden you're going to arrest somebody on a Thursday afternoon, knowing that under these peculiar LA County rules, you don't have to take somebody in front of a judge until Monday morning. That speaks volumes. And the fact that they haven't addressed that, I think, tells you everything you need to know.
The thing that really struck me was the business about the sharp instrument. I don't know if it lands the way with you the way it does with me, but it's like the body was dismembered, put in 2 bags.
And you also said that the body was frozen upon discovery, right? Right, Harvey? Wasn't it you and your team of people at TMZ that said this?
So it was severely dismembered and decomposed, and you dismember a body with a sharp instrument. I mean, that's the only way of doing it.
So Chloe said either side might ask for a continuance. David is constitutionally entitled to a speedy prelim within 10 days, but the state kind of set up the bones for a good cause continuance during the arraignment, all the discovery issues, etc. Thank you, Chloe.
So it's just confusing to me
how the coroner, how did they find?
Well,
yeah,
it's not confusing when you put it in context. I had the exact same reaction you two did. And what that tells me, at least, is they had to deal with the fact of the cause and manner. And the only way they could do it was invent this idea that she was killed by a blunt instrument. Remember,
sharp instrument.
Sharp instrument. I'm sorry. And they have to navigate that because that's the only way that they can come up with some kind of an
And I agree, you guys. TMZ is a tabloid, and their goal is to be first at everything, even though we know that they're not first, right? But whatever the case is, it is what it is, right? But we do show TMZ over here because they've inserted themselves in this case, and sometimes we just have to talk about it, right? We don't necessarily have to support it, but because they are very active in reporting the breaking news on this, we do have to talk about it, right? And I think it's good to get everybody's opinion.
Explanation. There isn't any expert who's going to say beyond a medical certainty.
And it's funny though, because Lauren Conlin, who works for LA Magazine, which is a media company ran by Mark Garagos, she takes a completely different point of view on things. So, I find that interesting as well.
That was done as a pre-death as opposed to post-death. There's terms for that, but a cross-examination will reveal that that's not a medical certainty, and that's complete speculation.
All right, there you go. So that is one. Let me see what this one is. And then earlier today, Celeste Rivas Hernandez's family put out a statement. So we're going to go ahead and take a look at that, right? 7 months since her body was discovered, and 7 months later, her family finally decides to respond. I'm sure the response came by way of their attorney, but let's go ahead and check it out.
We have some breaking news moments ago. The family of Celeste Rivas Hernandez has released a new statement after singer David appeared in court yesterday. The family says, quote, "We would like to thank the Los Angeles Police Department and the District Attorney's Office for their hard work. We would also like to thank the people of Lake Elsinore for all of their support. Celeste was a beautiful, strong girl who loved to sing and dance. Every Friday night was movie night, and we spent wonderful times together. We love her very much, and she always told us she loved us. We miss her deeply. All we want is justice for Celeste." The family also...
Jay Brady, I want to post something to you, right? And this could take weeks, it could take months, it could take years. But I would like to invite you, if this man is convicted and charged with all 3 counts, I'd love to invite you onto the channel, to apologize. Because you're saying you can't wait for the real evidence to come out instead of whatever's going on with whatever Neo said to get a quick conviction. But then what if the DA is able to prove all of this, right? I feel like you're going to be eating crow.
released this new photo of the teenager.
And then they released a new photo of Celeste, right? I don't know how old she is here in this photo, but she doesn't look anything older than like 10 or 11 in this photo. It looks like she's out, I don't know, somewhere wherever there's snow, enjoying a nice little trip with her family. They got her in her nice little purple jumpsuit, and and she's just enjoying a day being out, right? She looks super happy. This is a photo that we've never, ever, ever seen before. Pretty crazy. Pretty crazy.
It comes about 24 hours after David pled not guilty to murdering her. Rivas Hernandez's body was found decomposing in the singer's trunk at a tow yard back in September. David is due back into court on Thursday.
Today we have one lucky.
No, that's not what we're watching. Hold on. What the heck? Hold on. What happened? What happened? Share screen. Okay, bring that back up. That was an accidental clip, y'all. My bad. Della Dank, welcome, welcome, welcome. Wow, she looks so young in that pic. Oh boy, so sad. Look at her age. Let's see. Don't worry, I will be eating crow with him. Miss Jams, do you think that he's innocent? Oh no. Oh no. I'm curious to hear more, Miss Jams. I'm curious. I am curious. All right, so let's see. We watched that. This one's old. All right, you guys pick. We have a video from News Nation, and then we have Nancy Grace. Which one do you guys want to see first? Because I haven't seen any of them. Let me know. Yeah, we definitely need more evidence, and we're gonna get more evidence, right? We just gotta be patient. We just gotta be okay. News Nation. All right, let me go pull that one up really quick because I just lost it. Let us find it. Oops, not shorts. We want the video. Where is it? Where is it? Is there another one? Hold on. Sorry, you guys. I accidentally clicked out of it, so I have to find it. Okay, I think this is it.
Singer David has been officially charged in the death of the 14-year-old girl whose body was reportedly dismembered in his car all the way back in September. Los Angeles District Attorney Nathan Hochman is going to join me live in just a little bit. I have a ton of questions. Also tonight, House Oversight Committee has launched a probe into the deaths or disappearances of nearly a dozen.
Hold on really quick, because I just seen a comment. I feel that family's pain, and I'm sure they do blame themselves for a lot, even without all the people on Reddit and other socials talking down on them. But they're not the ones who put her in that car. And Talisha, you and I still have a planned live to put together because I'd like to help you and your family. But that's a conversation that we've been meaning to have, so we can put together a show. So you guys got to keep an eye out for the show that we're going to put together for her family member.
Scientists who have worked in U.S. nuclear or rocket technology.
Shout out to Edith for celebrating 2 months as a member. Thank you for your support. We appreciate you. Thank you.
This is something that Oversight Chairman James Comer called a potential grave.
Okay, hold on. Where do we go? Right. Okay, right here.
Against David. 7 months in the making. The singer David, real name David Anthony Burke, was arraigned today out in Los Angeles in connection with the death of 14-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez. Last September, her dismembered and decomposed body was found inside of a Tesla allegedly registered to Burke. And today, Celeste's family was in court as the 21-year-old entered a plea of not guilty. Now, Burke faces multiple charges here, including one that could put the death penalty on the table, even though there's no penalty.
You guys, we haven't had an execution in the state of California in over 20 years, if I'm not mistaken. But who knows? That could potentially change if we have a change of people, in our government coming up soon.
Executions in California, but we're talking first-degree murder, continuous sexual abuse of a minor, and mutilation of human remains. At today's presser, District Attorney Nathan Hochman said that this murder charge includes 3 special circumstances allegations: lying in wait, murder for financial gain, and killing a witness in an investigation. So prosecutors allege, essentially, that Burke killed Celeste to protect his budding music career after she threatened to report their sexual relationship. The district attorney also saying that that relationship may have begun when she was as young as 13 years old. Now, Hochman announced a special allegation that Burke personally used a deadly and dangerous weapon described as a sharp instrument to commit this crime. Burke's attorneys, though, they fired back. They maintain his innocence. They sent us this statement. The actual evidence in this case will show.
Alexa, yes, there currently is right now. And it's been in place, I want to say, for the last 20 years. Or maybe not the last 20 years, but I know that when Gavin Newsom came in, he put a moratorium on it.
That David Burke did not murder Celeste Rivas Hernandez, and he was not the cause of her death. We will vigorously defend David's innocence. And yes, to be clear, David is innocent until proven guilty. And normally, this would be the point where I start connecting the dots of walking through a prosecutor say happened. I don't have to do that tonight. Why? Because the man bringing these charges is here with us. Los Angeles County District Attorney Nathan Hochman joins us now live. Thank you so much for taking the time, sir. I know this is an important day for you, your office, Celeste's family, but I have been following this case every day for 7 months. So I have a lot of questions for you, and I was hoping you could clarify some things. First of all, can you tell us why David wasn't charged on Friday when he was arrested? Because I understand there were reports of a grand jury was hearing evidence. So usually, right, there would be an indictment and an arrest in conjunction. Why wasn't he charged on Friday?
So while you are right that the reports have been that there was an investigative grand jury, in California, there's a difference between the grand juries. There's an investigative grand jury that hears testimony, can receive documents or subpoenas, and then there's an indictment grand jury. While we can't comment yet until the grand jury transcripts are unsealed by a court, I can't even confirm that a grand jury has occurred. There have been media reports that certain individuals, both cooperative witnesses and uncooperative witnesses, went in front of the grand jury. And over the last 7 months, more importantly, the LAPD's robbery
It's okay, Alien Baby. I'll be honest with you. I know the press conference kind of came out yesterday, but you know what? I have not even seen the press conference yet. I've just been so busy. That's one of the things that I actually haven't even seen yet.
Homicide Division, working with the DA's office, has methodically and rigorously gone through the forensic and digital evidence, dealt with every witness statement we could obtain in order to get to this point when we have filed the charges. And very often in Los Angeles, those charges will follow an arrest within 48 hours, unless there's a weekend of an arrest.
The reason I ask you that is because there were reports that the DA's office and the LAPD weren't on the same page, that something happened during this grand jury that stalled it.
Alien Baby, it's okay. It's okay. No, you know what? Unfortunately, you know, as some of you guys may know, I was at the courthouse yesterday, and unfortunately, because I only had one phone, I was streaming from it, so there was no way that I could communicate with other people, whether it was through text, Discord, etc. So I was outside of the courthouse waiting for the press conference to take place, and then come to find out it took place in a different building, right? And by that time, I had all of my camera gear set up, and you know, this was my first time attending a press conference, and the equipment that I brought was just way too expensive for me to feel comfortable leaving. So I ended up staying where I was at. I wish I would have gone, right? But I just didn't want to take the chance of, you know, having any of my equipment stolen by anybody. So, you know, I apologize for that. And then the family was supposed to come out and do a press conference after the arraignment, and that didn't happen either, right? Somebody actually came out and told us that nobody was going to speak. And I'll show you the footage of yesterday where that person actually came out and told everybody nothing was going to happen, right? So after that, we ended up everybody just kind of packed up and left and called it a day.
And the LAPD made an arrest, put the pressure on the DA's office to make a charging decision today. Because even in the announcement on Friday, your office had said that they were aware of the arrest. So there was this report that perhaps you weren't on.
Wait, was I there? Could you see me there?
Make a charging decision today, because even in
I was literally like to the left of everybody. This guy right here was like very pushy. This guy right here in the yellow. I mean, he was cool, but he wanted to get his shot, and he needed that shot, so he got it.
The announcement on Friday, your office had said that they were aware of the arrest. So there was this report that perhaps you weren't on the same page when it came to charging David. Your response?
That's completely unfounded.
Yeah.
We have been on the same page, working in lockstep with the LAPD robbery homicide since they picked up this case in September of 2025, when Celeste, the 14-year-old at the time, when her body was found dismembered and severely decomposed in the front trunk of a Tesla.
Where's And Then I Rock? Is And Then I Rock here? Because And Then I Rock's always flirting with Nightbot.
That was owned and registered to Mr. Burke, David Burke. So again, to the extent that anyone wants to create some type of story that the LAPD and the LADA's office were not working in lockstep, that would be untrue.
So I guess the question would be, doesn't this now have to go to a preliminary hearing for there to be enough probable cause to sustain these charges? This is something that his defense attorneys pointed out today. They want an immediate preliminary hearing that would be in front of a court. It's public. It's not a grand jury. Some would say it's easier to get charges in front of a grand jury than a preliminary hearing, particularly where I believe his defense attorney is now questioning the cause of death. So I go back to the question, is this the way that you always envision this case, to present it in front of a court as opposed to a grand jury? Is there an advantage to doing this?
So we typically actually present these type of cases at a preliminary hearing. The defense has the right to request a preliminary hearing within 10 days of the arraignment, which would be 10 days from today. Often, though, what will happen in that 10 days is they will get discovery from us. That discovery is incredibly.
I knew, and then Iraq was here. See, okay, so Nightbot's a jerk now. Got it. We're going to have to get rid of Nightbot then.
Voluminous. We estimate there will literally be terabytes of digital and forensic evidence, witness interviews. At some point, the court might unseal the grand jury transcripts, and they will get the grand jury transcript.
Yeah. So, who was it that mentioned it? Fonzie mentioned yesterday. Me and Mark the Shark, actually, we met up after the courthouse. Yeah, we went out to go grab some tacos, and then yesterday what we did was we visited all 3 properties that David was staying at. So we went to the house that he was arrested at, and I do apologize because the reception there was not a little spotty. It was very spotty. But I think, you know, some people were able to watch it. And then we went over to the 1368 mansion house, the place where the house that got raided. And then we went to the second property, which was the 804 property, which is known as the streaming house where Celeste possibly lived at. So yeah, you guys can definitely go check it out. Go to my channel. It's under my lives, and there are 2 separate videos, so you can definitely check them out.
We have now, the court today issued an order to the coroner to release the coroner's report in this case. So whether or not the defense can be ready within the next 10 days to have a preliminary hearing.
That would be, Cats, here. You're going to have to suggest that. I'd love to see BJ, that surprise witness, and Strategic just do a collab show. That'd be dope.
The only thing I can assure you is that that preliminary hearing goes forward, we will be prepared for it.
When they're disputing cause of death, any indication about why they're doing that? I mean, it's one thing to say he's innocent, he didn't do this. They're disputing cause of death. They're putting the pressure now on your office to prove this at a preliminary hearing. Is there something about the cause of death? And I don't believe they've seen.
You know what? Actually, all 3 properties are very, very close to each other. If you guys were there, you guys were, you know, there for the ride. When we went from his mansion house to the second property, you guys know that car ride was literally like a 2-minute drive. And, you know, you guys should just go check it out, right? It's on my lives. It's still there. So you guys will have an opportunity to check it out. But when we went to the arrest house, we noticed that the handle on the black gate was not there anymore, which was crazy because I think that's where police officers, law enforcement took the battering ram and just removed it. Unless somebody came and took it off to replace the locks, but there was nothing there.
The coroner's report, anything you could say that might raise a question about why they're raising a question about that?
Again, they haven't seen the coroner's report either. So the idea that there's a question over a report that they haven't seen yet and the cause of death, again, the defense will engage in whatever strategies and tactics and make whatever statements they have. At the end of the day, though, we will prove our case in court. At a preliminary hearing, it's by a preponderance, a probable cause level of evidence. And in a trial, it will be beyond a reasonable doubt.
Can you clarify something? Again, it came out today, but I just want to make sure I'm accurate. Your theory of
there you go. We got Obsidian in the chat. Obsidian, you got to make it happen. Make it happen. I'd love to see that. That would be something awesome.
Case is that Burke allegedly lured Celeste out to this property, that she was going to report. Was she going to report him to the police about their relationship? And that is why he killed her. And if I'm correct, how do you intend to prove that?
So the actual details of the evidence will be presented at the preliminary hearing and later at a trial. What we charge, though, and what the complaint charges is first-degree murder with 3 different special circumstances. The first one is lying in wait. And the allegation, as alleged in the complaint, is that Burke invited Celeste to his house the night of April 23rd, 2025, at which point he was lying in wait to murder her. The second special circumstance that was charged, and by the way, the reason you end up charging special circumstances in California is that if you have first-degree murder and you get convicted of it, it's 25 years to life.
Right.
But that allows the life sentence to be with the possibility of parole. If any one of the 3 special circumstances is found beyond a reasonable doubt by the jury, that then creates a life without the possibility of parole.
Wait, is this at the place where he was arrested at? Interesting.
Sentence or if we so choose to seek it, the death penalty.
And I'll tell you guys, that house, right? That house is on a very, very steep hill. It was really difficult for me to get my tripod to just stand up straight without it tilting. So if police were just standing on that block for hours and hours, they must have been tired, because that place is on a very, very steep hill.
You mentioned cooperating and non-cooperating witnesses. I will tell you, people will look at this and say, okay, if the allegations are true, how on earth could David, this singer, kill this girl, dismember her body, leave it in a Tesla all by himself? There are those who say there's no way that he could have done this by himself, yet he's the only one charged. Are we dealing with a circumstance where there might be others involved, but they're cooperating, and if they choose not to cooperate anymore, they may be charged? Because I was listening to the press conference today. I was wondering if there's a little bit of opening that other people might be involved here.
Well, we have an ongoing investigation in the sense that if any individuals have information about Mr. Berg or anything dealing with this particular crime.
Afro Man? Is that Afro Man, Foxy?
Please at any time reach out to the LAPD's Robbery Homicide Division or the DA's office and bring us that information.
Look at it one second.
With respect to any potential other individuals, as I said during the press conference, if and when we charge anybody else, and I'm not saying we will, you'll be the first to know.
And I have to ask this, but there was a lot of reports about Neil Langston as a potential.
So DJ See No Evil, to find my lives, if you're on YouTube, click on my profile. And then you'd have to navigate to the section that says lives. And then from there, just look up. There's a live that I have. It's 1, 2, 3, 4 lives down that says visiting David's party house. And then the next one that says Flojo is live. I've visited the other 2 properties. So that's how you'd be able to find it. But don't go now. Wait till after the live.
Potential friend of David who was reportedly arrested, brought back to testify. Is this one of the individuals we should be looking at?
Again,
yeah, so it looks like David's Discord was either, I don't know, all of his messages have been redacted or removed, right? Not only that, right? So now he's off Discord. But also today we learned that Twitch has finally banned the David account. So David is no longer a Twitch partner, and neither is his account currently active on Twitch. Yeah, man, David has been banned, you guys. He's been banned.
I'm not going to comment one way or the other about any particular additional individuals or whether there are any additional individuals. What we did with respect to individuals who wanted to either cooperate.
Good question, right? Who knows? Apparently, I heard earlier, but I can't confirm if this is correct, but apparently there has been a new song that has been leaked. And I don't know if this is something a part of his label, but we'll play it. And if this thing gets tagged or flagged, we'll just remove that part of the live. But I'll let you guys listen to the new track that was supposedly leaked overnight or since the day he was arrested. So, well, no. It's not on Spotify. Somebody posted it on Reddit, but we haven't been able to confirm it yet.
With our investigation, or we're uncooperative, is that they often receive subpoenas to come in and testify in order for us to get the information to make the decision we made today to file these charges.
You called this a parent's worst nightmare. Based on everything I've seen in this case and what you described today, you're 100% right. What was it like sitting down with Celeste's family? Because during the course of these 7 months, we really haven't heard too much from them, and I understand why.
You know, I mean, as any parent, and I am a parent of 3 children, can appreciate, when your daughter goes missing, and she went missing the night of April 23rd, 2025, and days go by, first hours go by, then days, then weeks. You don't know if she's alive. You don't know if she's dead. And then months go by, over 4 months, until finally it comes to light that your daughter's body has been cut up.
Probably Josh Marshall's name, huh? You think his manager could have been on that lease too? It's crazy. I have some info on when I don't know if I can really say this. I have information on the dates of termination of the lease of the mansion and the new lease, but it's not information that I can put out right now. But who knows? Maybe it will come out.
Mutilated. It's decomposing in bags inside of a front trunk of a Tesla, all the way into September of 2025. Then you want to know. I mean, that not only is that your worst nightmare, that is the most horrible possible result.
Let's go back really quick right here, right? Because let me see.
That not only is that your worst.
I think this person right here is Celeste's mother. This is the father. And then, if I'm not mistaken, the person wearing the mask is supposedly Celeste's sister.
Nightmare. That is the most horrible possible result that can happen. And now you want justice at some level. It'll never bring her back. It's impossible. But you want the killer and that murderer found, brought to court, have the evidence presented, convicted, and punished. And that's what we intend to do.
The medical examiner's report, before I let you go, talked about it being unsealed. When can we expect it to be unsealed, and what can we expect to be in that report regarding cause of death? And you also mentioned that Burke allegedly used a sharp instrument. How much is that report going to fill in the details?
Until that report's public, I can't comment on it, but I will tell you that the judge issued the order today to the coroner's office to make it public. I don't know how fast they'll respond to that order. I would imagine expeditiously.
And Obsidian, I'm going to ask you, if you get your hands on that before I do, can you please share it with me? Because I know you're quick with it.
So I would imagine, again,
and I won't tell Strategic. Don't worry.
Within the next several days or week, that report will become public, and then you can read it and make your own determinations.
DA Nathan Hochman, again, appreciate you taking the time after what is a very long day to help clarify some information in this case. Appreciate you. Thank you.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Yeah.
So David is guilty, says, I think she got killed at the mansion. Oh, you updated your photo. Look at that. David's wearing his new jumpsuit with his Itami blinds on. That is hilarious. I believe you, Obsidian. I believe you. I believe you. I think she got killed at the mansion. So it's very possible, but we'll probably know, when everything is unsealed. But there's no belief that she was actually killed at the mansion, because Steve Fisher did the luminol test, he did the blue star test, and there was no signs of any blood. So I don't know. It's very possible, right? But what I want to know also was, where was her body stored from April 23rd all the way up to May 5th, which is probably a couple of weeks, right? And it's believed that she was dismembered on May 5th. So, how many days is that? That's April has 31 days, right? So that's 8 days right there, plus 5. So about 13 days, approximately 2 weeks. Where was her body stored? Because there's no belief that her body was even brought into the mansion after she was unalived. So I'm very curious to know, where was she at?
Thank you for watching.
Oh no, we're not going to do that. LA Magazine just came out with a video too regarding the complaint and the preliminary hearing. Do you guys want to watch that before we jump into Nancy Grace? Type 1 if you guys want to watch that, or type 2 if you guys want to go straight into Nancy Grace. I'm going to let y'all decide. You know what? Anything's the garage. Shut up, Cuomo, right? Let them know. 1. Okay, so you guys want to do LA Mag first? All right. Hold on. Let me move this over. Let me move this over here. Let's watch this. All right. Shout out to Lauren Conlin. Here we go, y'all.
Anthony Burke, aka Singer David, is due back in court tomorrow, April 23rd. And if you've been watching and following along with this heartbreaking and very, very disturbing case on Los Angeles Magazine, you will know that he was formally charged by the DA's office on Monday. And it's not just murder, but I'm going to get into the criminal complaint in a minute because I haven't actually done that yet. But I want to go over David's arraignment and the fact that his attorney, Blair Burke, is literally fighting like hell for him. And look, that is, of course, the job of any defense attorney. But I was like, wow. I'll play the clip for you right now from yesterday, and then I'll explain what happens next and what this all means, because his attorney, Blair Burke, is asking for a preliminary hearing. And what a preliminary hearing does, and it's not, it doesn't necessarily happen in all states, but a prelim hearing allows the judge to see all of the evidence to determine whether or not there is enough evidence for the case to move forward to trial. So Blair Burke, during the arraignment, she's like, oh no, I want to see grand jury transcripts. I want to see the medical examiner report. And she said, I want that unsealed. And by the way, it should be unsealed any minute now. But let's get into it. I'll play this for you. It's very short, this clip. David, and look, I heard this outside the courthouse. A man, I don't know if you guys heard this, but a man came to the PM right after the arraignment and he said David looked really nervous. His eyes were darting all around. I didn't really see that from him in this clip. You guys can judge for yourself, but he didn't seem to look nervous at all. He really had no expression, but let's just play it. Let's play it and then we can decide.
We believe the actual evidence will show David Burke did not murder Celeste Rivas Hernandez.
Look at him just staring at the judge. This is crazy because I haven't seen any of these videos yet. I've listened while the other creators have been talking about this, but I was never like watching the video, so I haven't seen this. This is crazy.
And as nor was he the cause of her death. And we would like to be able to have the evidence come into the light of day at the earliest opportunity.
Look at that look on his face. Is he even paying attention? He looks so spaced out right now.
In order to establish that.
Mm.
We're asking for April 23rd as a 3 of 10, Your Honor, as in the robbery homicide unit to the press. So we would again.
And April 23rd would mark 1 year. 1 year since Celeste Rivas Hernandez lost her life. How ironic are those dates? The date that she was killed and the date that he's about to have his preliminary hearing. Oh, what 365 days would do to a person, right?
And reiterate, we believe that Mr. Burke is entitled to discovery. We have served the people with notice. They have 15 days to produce discovery in this.
Is he standing? He's got to be standing. There's no way he's sitting down. This guy is standing. All 5 foot nothing of him. You can just tell that he's swaying back and forth. This is crazy.
In this case, we would ask that they do that in conscientious earnestness and as quickly as possible.
Okay.
He went from 21 to
so you saw his face. I mean, he seemed pretty calm to me. He wasn't really making any sort of expression, but obviously I wasn't there. And maybe when he walked into the courtroom, he was looking around. I hate
125 pounds, you guys. Can you imagine that? I don't know is he really 5'5", because I heard it was alleged that he was shorter than Celeste. But 125 pounds, I absolutely believe that he was 125 pounds. This guy would get knocked over in a storm.
not being there. I love more than anything being inside the courtroom and being able to see every single thing that goes.
That's a great question. Why was he not in a jail jumpsuit? I mean, it looked like he was in the same black hoodie that he was arrested in, right? So that one threw me for a loop. 4'8". Oh Lord, if he was really 4'8", that would be something else. That would be crazy.
Goes on, because even the littlest movements could mean something, and I feel like just not being there is driving me crazy. So I'm going to try to get to LA at some point, definitely for the trial. Should this go to trial, fingers crossed, unless he negotiates some kind of plea, which clearly is not happening because his lawyers are vehemently saying he did not cause her death. And there are a few reasons.
Wait, is that what it said? 5.05 and not 5.5? I'm gonna have to take a look at this his inmate record.
Reasons that they would say that, because if you listen to the press conference or you watched my report, the police and the DA's office said, you know, this took so long because they don't have a witness, or they don't have you know, video footage directly showing without a doubt or beyond a reasonable doubt that David did in fact kill Celeste. So they've had to really comb through forensic evidence as well as text messages to put this together. So
yeah, you're right. You're right. Look at this. It does say 505. So what does that mean? That he's 5 foot and 0.5 inches? Is that how it is? Oh, that, you know what? I didn't even consider that. He probably has not had a shower. Oh, Lord. I read 505 is 5 foot. Okay. Look at the document. People are misreading the 5.05. Well, so this one, does it say anywhere else? What document does it say it in, Fonzie? Is it in the complaint? There's no way he's 5'5". That guy was shorter than Celeste in all his photos. There's no way she was wearing heels.
As Blair Burke said, so she has given the people of Los Angeles, the prosecutors, 15 days to deliver this discovery to them so they can comb through it and see exactly what they have. And she is going to really make her case here that David wasn't responsible. So I am very interested to hear exactly what his defense is going to be, because again, everybody has a defense. Everyone is entitled to one. And yeah, I'm just very, very curious. But if you ask me, he did not seem nervous at all. I have seen a lot of comments online about, and I think if you watch the Beyond a Reasonable Doubt podcast where I was on with Mark Garagos, I had noted that his weight was like 125 pounds and he was 5'5", I believe. And
even Lauren Conlin's getting it wrong. I don't know. Yeah, Celeste was 5'2", and it was alleged that he was only like 5 foot 5'1". So 5'5" is he had those step-ins in, y'all. He was wearing those step-ins.
There's a lot of comments that, yeah, that he's really small and that might not be great for him in jail or in prison. And I mean, I like 125 pounds. That's nothing. I haven't seen that since high school.
Damn, even Lauren Conlin is clowning on him. Damn. David's taking the L.
But I mean, if he's 125 pounds, think of how small Celeste was. Okay, so let's also pull this up. This tab.
So, okay, somebody said the bribe photo, and actually I just got that video or that photo. So let me show that to you in comparison, right? So if we're taking a look at this, right, this is David standing next to another teen. God, he just looks like a little person here, doesn't he? Let's see. He's still in his own clothes because they kept him over the weekend in the LAPD jail on 77th Street. They transferred him to Twin Towers on Monday morning. That would make complete sense. Good. Keep him in his clothes. I think they should just keep him in his clothes for the rest of his life. They should definitely keep him in the same clothes.
This is from the DA's office, and this was their press release where I was just shocked because this is so rare. Scroll down Look at that. We have a mugshot. I
And then
mean,
baby said, where all the short queens and short kings at? Where all the short kings at?
and if you guys only knew the lengths that I go through to request a mugshot when a celebrity in Los Angeles is arrested.
Every time I see his mugshot, it reminds me of Jamie Foxx in the movie Booty Call. He was talking about something and he was like, hardcore rapper, but he's glossy. No, that was Jamie Foxx in one of his stand-up comedies. Hardcore rapper, but he's glossy.
You would be like, wow, that's insane. As well as a criminal complaint or an indictment or any type of court doc. Los Angeles, I have to show you guys this while I'm doing this video. I mean, normally, if you are out of state and you can't pick up a document, you have to write a letter requesting it. And I mean, I just got something returned to me the other day because I didn't put enough money in it to get a document. It's a pain. However, for this case, not only have they given us a mugshot, but they have actually linked out to the complaint, which again, that shocks me. I mean, I have to wonder if, and she kind of already, Blair Burke already kind of mentioned.
I'm gonna just have to play that sound effect just because.
In this about sharing certain things with the press,
Hardcore
I
rapper, but he's
am willing
glossy.
to bet she is going to bring this up in some of the proceedings. She will definitely want a gag order from the DA's office, from the LAPD. She's not going to want them to talk to anyone from the press until after trial. I'm willing to bet. So I'll make this a little bit bigger. But this is the criminal complaint. And again, it is just a complaint. It is not an indictment. And if there was an indictment in this case, we wouldn't have to go through a preliminary hearing. I just want to point that out. But clearly the arrest was based on probable cause and not a grand jury indictment, which again is most likely why David's attorney, Blair Burke, wants the grand jury transcripts. She wants to see how...
Woman, you're a fool. 6'7". 6'7".
Either one, they didn't indict, or possibly it resulted in a no bill, or Beth Silverman didn't get the witnesses that she wanted. And I go back to thinking about David's family. So anyway, here we go. This lists the charges.
Polonius Flacco said, damn, everyone's so small. It's okay. Stand tall on my short queens. Stand tall.
On or about April 23rd, 2025, in the county of Los Angeles, the crime of murder in violation with Penal Code Section 187A, a felony was committed by David Anthony Burke, who did unlawfully and with malice a forethought murder Celeste R., a human being.
I'm short too. I got that Filipino gene that said, you gonna be short for the rest of your life. So I'm short too. Don't worry.
I'm gonna go down a bit. So there's nothing that's seriously new here that we didn't discuss, and that wasn't listed in the press conference, but this is where it kind of says he did it for financial gain. Further alleged that she was intentionally killed because she was a witness to a crime involving her being a minor and them being in a sexual relationship. And then also because the defendant intentionally killed the victim by means of lying in wait, meaning he allegedly lured her to the home. And then they add that he personally used a deadly and dangerous weapon, to wit, sharp instrument, and said use of not being an element of the above offense within the meaning of penal code, blah, 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 and causing the above offense to be a serious felony within the meaning of penal code section 1192.7C23. So then we go into count 2. So that was all pertaining to count 1, the murder charge with the special circumstances, which it's life in prison or the death penalty. The DA's office said he wasn't sure about the death penalty. And now we get into count 2, the continuous sexual abuse on or between September 23rd to September 24th. They are alleging that they engaged in 3 or more acts.
So, Miss Jams, you had a question that said, who was actually getting financial gain? So, this is not to be misinterpreted as David was going to receive some sort of financial compensation for what he did, but this was to, in fact, save his career. So then that way he could continue making music and continue to make money, as opposed to exactly what's happening to him right now, if that makes sense.
Of substantial sexual conduct and 3 and more lewd and lascivious acts. And they say she was a child under the age of 14 while the defendant resided with and had recurring access to the child. This is interesting. Conviction of this offense will require the court to order you to submit a blood test for AIDS. I've never seen this on a court doc, but that's interesting.
It's LA, y'all. It's LA. They gotta make sure you're okay before you get in, because he's gonna be pounded. Big Bubba is gonna find his way to him.
Okay. All right, and then we have on or about May 5th, 2025, in the county of Los Angeles, the crime of unlawful mutilation of human remains in violation of health and safety code section. That's also wild, by the way. It's like, hey, you violated a health and safety code section. You can't do that by mutilating human remains. How about we just don't mutilate? How about that? Like, that's just the strangest thing to me. But yes, and this is wild to me. Again, I've mentioned this before. I'm having a hard time believing that he acted alone, because again, it is very hard to dismember a body, from what I have been told by law enforcement. And yeah, it's concerning to me that he's the only one charged. I don't see a world, and I'm speculating, I am wildly speculating, where no one else knew. Keep in mind, human behavior. I mean, we are not trained. We don't come out of the womb like ready to keep secrets, right? We are pretty much conditioned that we want to tell at least someone something that's bothering us or on our mind. And think about this. I mean, Celeste was reportedly around some of his family, around some of his friends. Did they ask him about her? I have to wonder. And again, I do think that's all going to come out as we hear more in court. And again, that is what the DA said. He said, when all these questions were asked, he said, you're going to hear more in court. Basically, be patient. That's very difficult. Now, I have heard from some independent sources who have looked through social media. They believe some of these dates are wrong.
Ouch.
That the LAPD put out there in terms of David abusing her. They think it may have been for longer. They also think maybe, listen, I'm going to go through that, but as of right now, we should just be thankful that we're here with charges. So again, innocent until proven guilty, but man, I do believe that David hired a powerhouse here with Blair Burke, and she's not going to let anything slip through the cracks.
And it's crazy though, right? Because I don't know if any of the money that he is making now is going straight to him or it's going somewhere else, but who's paying for all of this? Because the lawyers that he has on his defense, they are absolutely not cheap, right? And I think somebody in the comments mentioned that somebody made a video on that. So I'm very, very curious. Very curious about that.
Justice for Celeste. Stay here for all of the updates and everything. Los Angeles Magazine videos. I'm Lauren Conlon.
Oh, there's 5 grisly details exposed in the murder. Did we want to watch that? You guys want to do this one instead of Nancy? I know some of you guys are tired of Nancy. Tisa addresses the cost. Okay, and Tisa tells. Do you guys want to do the 5 grisly details exposed in David murder complaint by Law and Crime? Okay, so Chloe has clarified, and Chloe is our legal correspondent on Filling in the Gap. She said that warning about the testing accompanies all sex crimes. In California, generally, mandatory pre-conviction testing for defendants in these types of cases. So if Chloe is saying it, I believe her. I believe it. All right, you guys want to watch this one? We'll watch this.
We
Mind you, there might be some stuff that we've already heard, we've already talked about, and then after this video, I'll discuss the third victim speaking out, and then we'll call it a night. We'll keep it a little shorter, you guys. I'm still a little tired from yesterday. Now, I didn't go to work today. I woke up and I felt like shit, and so we just hanging out tonight. So.
believe that Mr. Burke is entitled at the earliest opportunity to an open preliminary hearing and the proceedings not.
Yeah, this guy looks very skinny.
This opportunity to an open preliminary hearing and the proceedings not be done in secret. So we are asking for a preliminary hearing to be set at the earliest possible date.
David was in court. The criminal complaint, including the complex murder charge, has been made public. And I interviewed the Los Angeles County District Attorney about what is going on right now.
He interviewed him twice?
Lot to get into with the latest in the murder case of David, the man accused of brutally killing.
I'm not gonna lie, they went hard on this edit. Look at this production that they're putting into Sidebar. They're not normally this crazy.
A 14-year-old girl. We want to break down the statements, what to expect from an upcoming hearing, whether this is a strong case, what the evidence may be. Is there a tension between the LAPD and the DA on charging David? A lot to get into. We're going to start right now. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber.
Do me a favor, if you guys haven't already, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Please, please, please. All it does is help out the channel. It helps us put us out in the algorithm, you guys. Please, please, please hit that like. It's free.
By the way, if you're into content creation, if you're putting things out on social media, have you ever...
Yeah, no. Okay, you're going to talk about Opus, right? Yeah, how do I know?
50% off. So a lot more, David.
50% off. Wait, is that how you're making these videos? I might have to sign up.
We got to break down. We have the criminal complaint. We have his first court appearance. I have my interview with the Los Angeles County District Attorney regarding the timing of these charges, because there was a theory that the LAPD and the DA's office, maybe they weren't on the same page. We have a statement from David's family. So much to get into. And I also want to bounce this off of my guests later on in the show to make sense of what may be happening behind the scenes, okay? Now, this piggybacks off of what we talked about yesterday when the 21-year-old singer, the romantic homicide singer, was officially charged by the LADA in connection with the death of 14-year-old Celeste Rivas Hernandez, whose decomposed, dismembered body was found in the trunk of a Tesla reportedly registered to David back on September 8th, 2025. Now, to be clear, before I even get into the criminal complaint, David is innocent until proven guilty, okay? These are merely allegations, okay? They haven't been proven in a court of law. Just want to make that clear. Now, I'll tell you what, instead of going to the presser from yesterday...
Chloe, if you're still in the chat, is it possible that this trial may be televised on TV? Do you know? Or is that something that the judge will have to decide? And do you think that the defense will probably ask for it not to be televised?
Yesterday, that was held by the LADA, because we played all of that in our prior episode from yesterday. What we didn't have yesterday when we did that episode, but we have right now, is the official criminal complaint. It was filed. It has been released. We have our hands on it. So let me read to you. On or about April 23rd, 2025, in the county of Los Angeles, the crime of murder was committed by David Anthony Burke, who did unlawfully and with malice aforethought murder Celeste, a human being. So you're talking about a premeditation. You're talking about an intent to kill. It is further alleged that the murder of Celeste was intentional and was carried out by the defendant, David Anthony Burke, for financial gain. It is further alleged that Celeste was a witness to a crime and was intentionally killed because of that fact. It is further alleged that the murder of Celeste was committed by David Anthony Burke and that the defendant intentionally killed the victim by means of lying in wait. It is further alleged that in the commission and attempted commission of the above offense, David Anthony Burke personally used a deadly and dangerous weapon, sharp instrument. By the way, what you're seeing here are special circumstances allegations that could enhance.
The close said it's possible the judge will ultimately decide, but she doesn't have a good read on what both sides would want. But preliminary Burke seems to like things out in the open.
The penalty, so you're talking life in prison, you're talking potential death penalty, even though there's a moratorium on executions in California. So originally, when you had a murder charge, it would be, 25 to life with the possibility of parole. If the jury sides or believes that these special circumstances occurred beyond a reasonable doubt, then you're talking about that enhancement. You're talking about life in prison without the possibility of parole, or again, even the death penalty. And look, we knew that he was being investigated for murder. We didn't know these particular theories, right? The main theory.
I heard it was also the same judge for Nick Reiner. Is that true? That's what I heard this morning too.
Here that was revealed by prosecutors was that Burke allegedly invited Celeste to his house, at which point he was lying in wait to murder her, to kill her, because she was allegedly going to report or expose her alleged sexual relationship with David in some way, that is a crime because she was a minor. So again, the circumstances of that are not entirely clear. I don't know how they're going to prove that, but that seems to be their main theory, which brings me to the next charge. On or between September 7th, 2023 and September 7th, 2024 in the county of Los Angeles, the crime of continuous sexual abuse in violation of Penal Code Section 288.5, a felony was committed by David Anthony Burke, who did unlawfully engage in 3 and more acts of substantial sexual conduct and 3 or more lewd and lascivious acts with Celeste, a child under the age of 14 years, while the defendant resided with and had recurring access to the child. So not just one alleged occasion, but...
See, look at this photo right here of Celeste and David. Now here it looks like David might be a little bit taller, but keep in mind he's wearing a do-rag. He's probably got big hair under that do-rag, and that hoodie is probably not exactly like how tall he is. So he's probably like right here. I don't know if you guys can see the mouse, but he's like literally almost the same height as Celeste. I was actually looking for this photo earlier, but they look identical in height.
Multiple pattern here. Again, how they'll be able to prove that, maybe text, witness testimony, videos, I don't know, photographs. It will be interesting. On or about May 5th, 2025, in the county of Los Angeles, the crime of unlawful mutilation of human remains was committed by David Anthony Burke, who did willfully and unlawfully mutilate remains known to be human, specifically the remains of Celeste. Now, you're going to see this more from court in a minute, but
I will absolutely try to attend as much of this trial as I can. Unfortunately, it's not guaranteed because I do have a full-time job, and I do serve, I do serve patients and students at the same time. So it might be a little difficult, but I am definitely going to try. I promise you guys, I will try.
David's legal team went on the defensive, okay? They issued the following statement. The actual evidence in this case will show that David Burke did not murder Celeste Rivas Hernandez, and he was not the cause of her death. Such specific language there. Now, in a separate statement on Monday, a lawyer for Mr. Burke's family, Kent Schaefer, said the Burkes are not surprised but are terribly disappointed that the district attorney chose to charge David. Nevertheless, they support and stand by him 100%. Patrick Steinfeld, a lawyer apparently for the Rivas Hernandez family, said in a statement that family members were, quote, committed to ensuring that Celeste's voice is heard, and added that upon learning of David's arrest, her father, Jesus Rivas, said, thank God, justice for Celeste. And then we go to what happened later on in the day yesterday. David's arraignment, okay, where the defense requested an immediate preliminary hearing.
I could ask for PTO, but my actual PTO doesn't kick in until June because at work I have to be there for a year. So I'm approaching my year in June.
I'm going to explain this afterwards, but take a look.
Counsel, on behalf of your client, do you waive formal reading of the complaint, advisement of rights, including armed forces and veterans' rights, enter a plea of not guilty, denying any and all special allegations, enhancements, and priors?
Yes, Your Honor.
And you're requesting a preliminary hearing.
Damn, I'm so upset that Neo has wiped out his Instagram because that would have been good to see what Neo was up to right around the same time. Or Asia.
In the period?
Yes, Your Honor. From the media reports, apparently there have been 4 months of secret grand jury proceedings. We believe that Mr. Burke is entitled at the earliest opportunity to an open preliminary hearing and the proceedings not be done in secret. So we are asking for a preliminary hearing.
Okay, so this is the first time I'm hearing this too. And somebody mentioned that in the comments too, that Blair Burke has asked for it to be open and in the public.
To be set at the earliest possible date on the 10th day. Your Honor, we believe the actual evidence will show David Burke did not murder Celeste Rivas Hernandez, nor was he the cause of her death. And we would like to be able to have the evidence come into the light of day at the earliest opportunity in order to establish that. We're asking for April 23rd as a 3 of 10, Your Honor.
So maintaining his innocence, saying he didn't.
And me, Blondie, you know, there's a lot of speculation that Neo did roll on David, right? Who knows? He went inside a courtroom, showed up for he went to testify, showed up for 30, 45 minutes, and was out of there. So maybe they possibly struck a deal right after. Who knows? Who knows?
Murder her, not the cause of her death. Again, find that interesting because I do wonder, what are you saying here? That there's going to be a battle of experts? It's not entirely clear what caused her death. Are you going to be pointing the finger at someone else? It goes to the idea of the preliminary hearing. So as opposed to a grand jury, which is a secret proceeding, it's more one-sided. You have jurors. You just need a majority to.
Can we get to 100 likes on this live right now? We got about 150 people watching. We're at 94 likes. Can we get this up to 100, you guys?
Determine there's probable cause.
It feels weird to ask that. I've never even asked that before.
Cause to indict. Here you go to a court. A court, you present the evidence by the prosecution to suggest there's probable cause for this case to move forward. The defense has an opportunity to fight back, though, at this hearing. And it's interesting that they're asking for this immediate. They want to put the pressure, it seems, on the prosecution. So again, not the typical grand jury route. I want you to keep that in mind because, again, I interviewed LADA, Los Angeles District Attorney Nathan Hochman, who filed these charges. You'll see what he had to say in a minute. But from there, you get a back and forth in court yesterday on discovery, the evidence in the case, a back and forth on the coroner's report, because as we know, the ME's findings have been sealed. But as you're about to see, maybe not for long.
We have been given almost no discovery thus far. We've received a 3-page follow-up report, no autopsy report, and a copy of the complaint. And we would ask the people respectfully to produce discovery at the earliest opportunity.
Your Honor, as I indicated to counsel, there's approximately 40 terabytes of discovery in this case. Moreover, in order to obtain the transcripts from a grand jury investigation, counsel has to file a motion. She knows the way the system works. I'm not able to gather those.
Oh, hold on. I heard about this. I heard that. Ooh. Okay, so you guys know that Blair Burke and Beth Silverman have a history together or with each other, right? So for context, I'm going to be reading a little bit of this. One of the clearest documented examples is the Fabio Cementelli murder trial, where Blair Burke was part of the defense team for Monica Cementelli, and Beth Silverman was the lead prosecutor. It says here, during that trial, they were directly opposing each other in court. Burke argued to the jurors that her client had no involvement in the murder plot and attacked the prosecution's theory. And Silverman argued the opposite, that the defendant was the mastermind behind the killing and laid out the prosecution's narrative in the opening and closing arguments. They also clashed during proceedings, motions, witness cross, etc., which is about as heads up as it gets in a criminal trial setting. And in this case, Blair Burke did not take the W, you guys. Beth Silverman won this case, and Monica Cementelli was charged. So this is going to be one of those cases where they are going to be really out for each other. They're coming to get each other. I'm very curious to see how this goes.
Jury investigation, counsel has to file a motion. She knows the way the system works. I'm not able to gather those. They have to be provided after the court orders them released because it was an investigation. Second of all, if counsel plans on going to a preliminary hearing within the 10 days, it is unlikely that there will be very much discovery provided within that period, given the voluminous nature and how long it's going to take to copy onto drives. In addition to that, the coroner's report was sealed in this case in order to prevent it from hampering truthful testimony from witnesses that testified at the grand jury. So an order will also have to be obtained in order to get the coroner's department, which is now the medical examiner's department, to release those materials.
Your Honor, it's surprising news given the district attorney's office held a press conference this morning where they discussed
David Anthony Burke, can you please stand up? Your Honor, I am standing.
The cause of death, apparently under seal and not released by the coroner's office, as did the robbery homicide unit to the press. So we would again reiterate, we believe that Mr. Burke is entitled to discovery. We have served the people with notice. They have 15 days to produce discovery in this case. We would ask that they do that in conscientious earnestness and as quickly as possible.
I'd ask the court to make an order today. We'll take a copy of the minute order ordering the Department of Medical Examiner to release their coroner's report in this case.
Ooh, Lord, oh Lord, this autopsy report is going to be something else, you guys. I'm nervous. I'm nervous to see and read everything that's in this autopsy report.
Medical examiner to release their coroner's report in this case.
Thank you.
The court will order that the medical examiner release the report in this case.
So we can anticipate, right? So I'm not sure how long it normally takes to unseal these records and make them public. But I think SF had mentioned that he believes that it should have been released by today. So if not today, we're expecting a bombshell of an autopsy report to come out tomorrow. I'm hoping so. Claude, do you know how long it would take for them to unseal those records and make them public?
It appears that that medical examiner report is going to be released. And when that autopsy report comes out, that will hopefully fill in a lot of the blanks in terms of cause of death, what authorities believed happened to Celeste, the potential use or the alleged use of this sharp instrument. And as Hochman indicated in his press conference yesterday, he said the coroner has come up with a conclusion. Speaking of the LADA, I spoke with him, Nathan Hochman, on my News Nation show, Jesse Weber Live last night. And among other things, I asked him.
I'm going to give you guys a few minutes because I'm about to drop some gifted memberships. So if you guys haven't already, make sure you have that setting turned on so you can receive gifted memberships, you guys.
About why David wasn't charged on Friday when he was arrested, when apparently there were these grand jury proceedings that were underway, whether there was any tension between the LAPD and the DA. Like maybe something happened in the grand jury proceedings, something was a holdup and they couldn't get back an indictment, and the LAPD arrested David, put pressure on the DA's office to charge. Here was his response.
There's an investigative grand jury that hears testimony, can receive documents through subpoenas, and then there's an indictment grand jury. While we can't comment yet until the grand jury transcripts are unsealed by a court, I can't even confirm that a grand jury has occurred. There have been media reports that certain individuals, both cooperative witnesses and uncooperative witnesses, went in front of the grand jury.
So there.
Ooh, cooperative and uncooperative witness have gone in front of the grand jury. So remember, you guys, there were reports that there was a female who Beth Silverman put a what was that called again? I forget what it was called, but basically they were saying that, you know, they were going to arrest this person if they did not show up to testify in front of the grand jury. And there was nothing ever after that. Nobody, we didn't find out who it was, right? I think the day before that, we found out that Rob Morgenroth had testified a body attachment. Thank you so much, Raina. I appreciate that. A body attachment was put out on a female who was uncooperative and didn't want to testify in court. So we never found out who that person was. And I'm very curious to know because I had a source tell me who it was, but I don't know if that'll ever come out to light.
There was this report that perhaps you weren't on the same page when it came to charging David. Your response?
That's completely unfounded. We have been on the same page working in lockstep with the LAPD robbery homicide since they picked up this case in September of 2025.
And basically made the argument that preliminary hearings are common here, again, that they're lockstep, on the same page. But obviously I'm made of questions here. I really want to know where this is going to go. What are we reading behind the lines? What is the strength of the case? What is the strength of the evidence? I want to bring on friend of the show, friend of mine, trial attorney Rich Schoenstein. Rich, always good to see you. Thanks for taking the time. There's so much to break down here. First of all, the charges. We anticipated.
Is this the set that he's always sitting at? What the hell? That just looks crazy.
That there was going to be a murder charge, right? What we didn't anticipate, or at least I'll speak for myself, multiple theories here, right? Multiple special allegations, lying in wait, witness, financial gain. I didn't see that. And also the sex crimes charges, right? I mean, that was another big one where there had been this thought, if you want to charge David, if you want to go after him, is there not evidence that he was allegedly involved in a sexual relationship with a minor? You could have arrested him earlier on and then figured out the homicide charges. So I'm made of questions here. First, let me ask you, the murder charge and the way that they're charging it, it seems like they're going different paths towards a potential conviction.
Yeah, well, they have three different, you alluded to it, they have three different special circumstances. They have the theory that, lying in wait, under the theory that he, I guess, was waiting for her, that he did it for financial benefit, and that he did it because she was a witness.
Right, Ronan, right? 40 terabytes to transfer. That is huge. I'm trying to find one of my hard drives right now. I have this little mini hard drive right here. This is only 2 terabytes. So this means that I would need 20 of these, right? And I calculated earlier, if you had an iPhone that was 256 gigabytes, you would need roughly around 130 something iPhones to fill it up with information that they have for this case. 136 iPhones.
To the crimes, which takes you back to the sex crime part of it. She was the key witness to those. And those are all special circumstances that get you up to murder one and even potentially make it a death penalty eligible case.
How do they prove that? I interviewed Nathan Hochman. He wouldn't reveal too much about that. Obviously, it's an ongoing case. But how are they going to prove that he specifically was lying in wait, that he lured her to the house, that he was concerned about his career, about her exposing him or allegedly exposing him?
So I don't know, sitting here today, how they're going to prove any of it.
Now, Chloe, you were mentioning last night, right, that even if there was 40 terabytes of information, it's possible that the defense is going to strike out some of the information or the evidence that will never make it into the public eye, correct?
Except that obviously they can prove that she's dead and that her body was dismembered, right? Those are the only things, and where the body was found. Those are the facts that we know. I imagine through witnesses, they can establish her relationship with David. So can probably prove that. But how do they prove without witnesses that it was a sexual relationship? How do they prove without witnesses that he is the killer? I think the theory is he lured her in, murdered her, and dismembered her. How are they going to prove that he did that as opposed to somebody in his ambit or somebody else?
A lot of it has been, she went to the house,
Yeah.
she was never seen again.
Yeah.
And that is like what they really focused on. Obviously, they didn't get into more details, but I guess that piece of circumstantial evidence, right? They didn't say there was a smoking gun. They said it was the totality of the evidence. Right. They can show she showed up to the house and was never seen again. And it was a property that was in, I don't think it was necessarily one that he owned, but or that was rented for him, where he was staying at. I guess they will establish that he was the only one in the house, or
maybe there's nothing wrong with circumstantial evidence. There's lots of these cases are built on circumstantial evidence. So the circumstantial evidence is her body was found in his car and it was dismembered. So that is circumstantial evidence. She had a relationship with him. I guess there's evidence that she went to the house, but I don't think we know all the evidence they have, because we haven't had this preliminary hearing yet. We haven't seen it. We're going to find out more about the evidence. And the things I'm looking for, what is the scientific evidence, right? They examined her body. What did they find? Did they find his DNA? And what is the witness testimony that they have? Because there's been references to cooperating and non-cooperating witnesses. Who exactly is going to say what? I would imagine that's been a lot of the reason these proceedings have been delayed and pretty secretive.
By the way, so you heard me have the back and forth with Nathan Hochman last night, and he said, look, LAPD, DA's office, we've been in lockstep. That, you know, in LA, there's an investigative grand jury that just hears witnesses and maybe locks in testimony, right? And there's a difference between a grand jury that indicts. And there's still people who will look at this and say something's maybe not adding up, right? I mean,
Enforcer, does the Tesla have internal camera or recording audio? So if I'm not mistaken, the Tesla, especially his, has roughly around 9 different cameras inside and outside of the car. Unfortunately, none of those videos do record any kind of audio.
even Nathan Hochman said you have cooperating, non-cooperating witnesses. But I guess the question would be, does it make sense to you that he was arrested and then charged versus indicted through a grand jury, arrested, but now they have to go to a preliminary hearing in front of a judge, which I do wonder, is it easier to move forward in a case in a preliminary hearing versus a grand jury? I guess there's a bunch of questions there as we think about it.
It could make sense to me. Again, there's so much here that we don't know about how they got to this point, and you have to choose the strategy if you're a prosecutor. In theory, it's easier to go to a grand jury because it's completely one-sided, and grand juries usually sign on to what the prosecutors want. That's just a fact of life. So you would think, in theory, it would be easier to go to the grand jury, but you have to be able to present your evidence, and I don't know if there were challenges to presenting the evidence. I don't know if there was a feeling at some point that we just have to move forward and get him arrested and get him off the street. We can't wait anymore to finish this grand jury process. We don't have all the witnesses yet. I don't know what the holdup was. So I'm not going to assess the strategy when I don't have complete information. Sometimes it proceeds this way and they go to a preliminary hearing, and we will find out then more than we know now about what the evidence is.
And I mean, he made it seem LAPD, DA's office, we're in lockstep. I asked him, I said, you know, there is a theory here that LAPD made the arrest, put the pressure on your office to charge because there was some hang up in the grand jury, and he goes, it's unfounded. I interviewed Mark Garagos afterwards, and he seemed to disagree. One of the things I thought was interesting, and I mentioned this to Hochman last night, was like, when there was an arrest, your office came out and said, we are aware of the arrest, right? That doesn't necessarily, like, we're in this together. We knew about it. I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, I have a little bit of suspicion there too. The best case would be that they are in lockstep, that they are working together, they are getting along. I suppose pretending to work together is second best. At least they're not actively being hostile with each other. But I don't know what the truth is.
If there was a hang up in the grand jury, what is it? If I'm reading between the lines and he says uncooperative witnesses, why would you need them? Why would you need them? Let's say even you had, isn't there maybe the...
If any of the mods know how, can you guys let the people in the chat know how to enable gifted memberships in their settings, please?
Digital evidence, the forensic evidence enough to establish these potential charges, the probable cause for these charges. Even if you had uncooperative witnesses, what role would they play?
I would think that you had enough evidence to get an indictment in the grand jury. Now, I'm just going to wildly speculate here. Suppose non-cooperating witness means we put on a witness in front of the grand jury and they didn't say what we thought they were going to say. And it mucked up our whole presentation because now some witness pointed the finger at somebody else or surprised us or just didn't tell the story we thought they were going to tell. And so now we're left with this grand jury proceeding. We need to present more evidence. We need to hold the grand jury over. We're not totally sure we're going to get an indictment, so we're just going to do it this other way.
This went into another question that I had with him. If the allegations are true, it may be hard for people to believe David allegedly did this all on his own. Singer who allegedly kills this 14-year-old girl, dismembers her, stuffs her into the trunk of his car in bags. It's a lot for one person to theoretically do. and yet he's the only one charged, which begs the question, are there cooperating witnesses? And you're going to make deals with somebody who potentially was involved in this?
So, well, you ask a good question.
I'm still looking to figure out how to enable memberships.
And you said a lot of things about David, and the thing you didn't say is he's very young.
Yeah,
He's 21 years old.
Yeah.
So this 21-year-old kid, and I'm sorry, 21 is still a kid, right?
Well, I will tell you, by the way, I get a lot of heat online. People say, don't call him a kid. He's a man.
He is legally a man. He'll be tried as an adult. But in terms of decision-making, I think if you talk to medical people, they will tell you your brain is not fully formed until you're like 26 years old. But put that aside. It is hard to imagine him on his own concocting the plan, committing the murder, doing the dismembering, going out and getting body bags, putting them in the trunk of his car entirely on his own. That does seem to me implausible. It seems to me more likely that there was somebody else involved on one or more parts of that. And that could be what this investigation has been having to deal with.
When I listened to the press conference, when I listened to Hochman last night, it seems to me they are not completely closing the door on charging somebody else. And if you're asking me what would change, whether or not that person decides to cooperate. If they decide to no longer cooperate, maybe they would be charged. I might be 100% wrong, but is that what's maybe going on?
That sounds totally plausible. The idea in these kind of scenarios that you have people who are deciding if they want to be witnesses or defendants. And remember, if there are people who are involved, they don't want to testify adverse to him. If they're friends of his, they don't want to testify adverse to him. There's different kinds of help, right? There could be people who helped plan it. There could be people who helped do.
Okay, so Raina, thank you so much for that. If you click on the join button, let me see. If you click on the join button, there should be something that pops up that says Flojo, join the channel, get access to membership perks. And then there's three buttons or the three dots there. Click on that, click on gift membership settings. And then in that pop-up, allow gift memberships. I think you might only be able to do that on your phone. No, on a computer, but let me know. Let me know if you guys are able to do it from your phone.
There could be what we call accessories after the fact. There could just be people who know about it or think they know about it. And so if you're a prosecutor, your pitch to a lot of those people is, do you want to be a witness or do you want to be a defendant?
Yeah.
And it depends. If they think that he is the one who is really responsible for this horrible, violent act, then they will make deals with others in order to pin the responsibility on him.
What about this idea? I thought it was very interesting where the defense says that not only did David not murder Celeste Rivas Hernandez, he's not the cause of her death. That's very specific. It makes me wonder, is there a debate about how she died? Is there a debate about what caused her death? And, are we talking, there might be a battle of medical experts to determine. I mean, we don't, again, at the time of this recording, we don't even have the autopsy report. We don't know the cause of death, but
let me go ahead and gift a few memberships then really quick. I'm going to go ahead and gift 10 memberships. All right, y'all, here we go. Good luck to everybody. Good luck.
Am I wrong in thinking that's maybe where they're going? And I don't think they have that.
That is what I thought when I heard that language too. He is not the cause of her death. Are they going to say the death was accidental, but some people, one or more people, tried to get rid of the body? Or are they going to say somebody else did it and then one or more people tried to get rid of the body? Are they going to...
If anybody wants to match it, we can help add to the members of the team. But anyways, if you were gifted a membership to the channel, just know that we also have a members only Discord where a lot of the conversation continues after the lives. Actually, the conversations continue like 24/7. So you definitely want to be a member and in the Discord, you guys.
Say David, at the end of the day, they're going to say David didn't do it, had no connection, had no knowledge of it. But when you make a more limited statement like he was not the cause of the death, that leads you to suspect it's a more nuanced defense.
Yeah, in court, they indicate they didn't have the autopsy report. That's why the court said we're going to basically release it. So how can they make a statement like that unless he told them something?
Yeah, well, right. So they would have to have information about how it was she did die, which means he is involved at some level.
They really don't, right? The Discord is popping. That's where I get all my news. The people in the Discord, they are on it.
And then the question would be, even if you're not responsible for the death per se, there are other crimes here that appear to have been committed. I mean, starting with the sex crimes, because it sounds like this legal adult, as you say, was having a relationship with a 13-year-old, which is not legal.
And look, the state of her body, the decomposition, the dismemberment, I do wonder if that's going to complicate cause of death. I remember in the press conference, he indicated, Nathan Hochman indicated that the coroner, the medical examiner, did come up with a conclusion as to cause of death. But if they're debating it, the defense, I wonder if there's room.
Yeah. I think that defense would point, the defense is going to put the prosecution to the test of proving cause of death, and then of tying that cause of death to this defendant. That's going to be the difficult aspect. And the prosecution's going to try to help that with this motive stuff, right? She was going to be a threat to his.
Well, thank you to whoever subscribed to the channel. We just hit 1,760 subs. Right on, you guys. Damn, we've grown a lot in the past month. We were stuck at like 1,300 for a long while. So shout out to you guys. Thank you guys.
Future impending stardom. And she was a witness to things that were criminal acts.
Raina, thank you for becoming a member. We're sorry you didn't get gifted while we gifted, but thank you for joining.
Therefore, he wanted her out of the way. That's why they're going to lean into motive in the prosecution of this case. You don't even have to prove motive generally to get a murder conviction, but it helps.
Let's just take a step back. We talk so much about this preliminary hearing. Some people might be like, well, what are you talking about? What is a preliminary hearing? So if you can explain what a preliminary hearing is and why the defense would want it immediately. Like they want a preliminary hearing as soon as possible.
Yeah, the defense. So that is a key strategy decision that defendants always have to make. Sometimes they waive a preliminary hearing because they don't want the evidence presented publicly, and they know what the evidence is and they don't want to see it right away. Sometimes they insist on a preliminary hearing. It is an in-court presentation of the evidence of the probable cause for these charges. It's not a full trial on the merits, but it's a presentation by the prosecution of the evidence they have. And if your strategy includes a possible argument that they didn't even have enough evidence to charge this, then you want to have the preliminary hearing right away and put the prosecution to the test. Show us what you have. And if you suspect that your prosecutors don't really have their heart in this prosecution, that the police are pushing them, which is one of the theories.
Hey, Dory Angel, welcome. Rabbit sent you all. Thank you so much, Rabbit, for sending people over to the channel. We love Rabbit over here.
We went over, then maybe that makes you want to put him to the test. Make him go to court. Make him put this evidence on. We want to know exactly what they have, exactly what they're saying, and we want to be able to challenge it right now.
How much of the evidence from the prosecution is usually presented in a preliminary hearing versus a trial down the road?
A lot of it. I mean, there's not much reason.
And cases develop and investigations develop.
Investigations develop. There's not, I mean, for example, if you had scientific evidence, which you should have by the time you get to a preliminary hearing, there'd be no reason not to present that. If you have basic evidence about their
Alicia, thank you so much for gifting 5 memberships. Welcome, Dory, the only Angie, Stones, and Hala Naomi, and Nancy Vincenti. Nancy Vincenti. Welcome to the inner circle, you guys. Wow.
Relationship and your theory of the case, you would present that.
Jazzy just gifted 1 membership. Thank you so much. Thank you, Jazz, one of our mods. Thank you so much, Art Deco. Where's Art Deco at? Welcome to the inner circle, you guys.
And would we know who potential cooperating witnesses are?
Maybe.
Maybe.
And right, because that's another issue as to how
Mama, what's up?
quiet they're trying to keep that. They got to disclose it to him at some point. So
yeah.
Learn.
Okay, look, this is a very big development. There's things that are rapidly happening almost every day now. At the time of this recording, we're still waiting for the autopsy report to be released.
Shout out
And
to Joe
I asked
Mama
Nathan
celebrating 1 month as a member of the inner circle. Yo, yo, yo. That's what's up.
about this last night, but
all of you guys should drop your membership milestones. Let's celebrate.
I imagine that's going to fill in a lot of pieces of this puzzle. I mean, if he's talking about a sharp instrument, if they were talking about what the cause of death is, that autopsy report is going to say a lot. What would you be looking out for there?
Yeah, well, I want to see what it says is the cause of death, and is it conclusive? And does that support the theory of the case that this 21-year-old committed this crime?
Cindy celebrating 3 months as a member, one of our day one supporters. We haven't been streaming for so long, but Cindy's definitely been a supporter since day one.
Committed the murder, right? Well, we'll get to the other stuff, and then you have to figure out how are they proving he committed
2 months as a member. What's up, Michi?
That's a separate issue. But people want to know what the cause of death was and how certain they are on it. As you know, sometimes autopsy reports aren't certain, and that's a problem in this kind of process.
Look, I think it's going to be really, really interesting to explore this and see where it goes.
Right, Storm, doesn't it feel like 15 years? I feel like it's been so long.
Because again, it's 7 months that people have been waiting for some sort of answer. And to be clear, David is innocent until proven guilty. His attorneys are saying that he didn't do this. So we will see what happens. We will see what happens when the preliminary hearing happens. Rich Schoenstein, thanks for taking the time. Appreciate it.
Always glad to come in. Good to see you.
Good seeing you. And that's all we have for you right now here on Sidebar, everybody.
Me Blondie celebrating 1 month as a membership. Yeah, let's go. There you go. All right, so the last thing that I want to talk about really quick, hold on, let me see. Actually, there's one more thing that I want to see because I was on TMZ and then I saw myself on TMZ today. I was like, wait, what? Let me find it. Where's that? Where is it? Just a photo of me. Apparently, I was on everybody's news feed. Where did it go? Well, it's irrelevant. Oh, here it is. I was on TMZ, Mom. There I am. This was the moment that the person actually came out and told us that there was no press conference that was going to happen. Actually, I told you guys that I would find that part and show it to you guys. So let me go ahead and do that. This was a message that we actually all got. Hold on, let me find it really quick. So this was the moment that Celeste family was walking into the court. Hello, how's it going? I don't really understand what was going on, so I just kind of turned around. I was like, oh shit, there's a lot of people.
About to show up. Get ready, you guys.
No, Nebby, I can see you. I can definitely see you. You're not being shadow banned. Definitely not. But I also don't know if there is an issue with the likes or the share button. And I hope it's not just YouTube picking on you. That's not fair. Leave Nebby alone, YouTube. You can see the family walking up right over here. That's when I realized, okay, I got to get up there too.
Celeste family.
Oh man, it's hell. This is the first time I'm watching it back. And this is when I learned that people in media, like if they need to get their shot, They will do whatever they need to do to get their shot, because I felt some elbows and some shoulders. I was about to let them know you're about to get the shoulder back. So thank you so much. I appreciate all of the knowledge you share with the channel every single time we go live. So yes, get some rest, have a good rest of your night, and we'll see you in the morning. Was I the audio guy? Oh shit, let me just do what they're doing.
This is the DA.
Ava, don't worry about how tall I am. I told you I'm a short king. We short over here. I'm short. I got the Filipino gene.
All right.
All right,
I'm 5 foot nothing.
DA's office. And the team, so we're just gonna get set up right over here. Yeah.
Let me see.
So rabbit.
Find that.
It's crazy.
Audio sucks. Okay. Clearly, we didn't get anything from this guy. Never mind. I lied. Audio sucked. Am I taller than David? Hell yes. Hell yeah. I definitely way taller than David. All right. That's we're not gonna watch that anymore because there's nothing there. That's funny. All right, so let me see. Let's talk about this one, right? So let me bring this over here. 4 months ago, we talked about there potentially being another victim, right? So let me just go ahead and play this. No, hold on. Let me find it. Let me see. Here, that can be out for this. Okay, here it is. You guys remember this photo, right? So I don't know the backstory on this. I just remember that there was a photo that came out and said that this person may potentially be a minor. Not sure. It's not confirmed, right? But this was something that was floating around on the Reddits. This is a photo of David and another person. Jess, you probably are taller than me. What are you, like 6'5", 6'7"? Right? And then a couple of weeks ago, there was another post, and let me see. This is Inception. We got 2 Flojos right now. Storm Urge, there was a post that came out that I saw, and it said this. This is from a person named Kiara Hollander. It said, prayers to her family. I used to be close friends with David, and we quote unquote dated when I was 16 and he was 18. We've seen each other in real life 2 times max, and there is so much more, but he introduced me to religion and whatnot, so I'm so shaken up by the fact that he could have done this. I remember a Celeste and have a picture of them together. That's what I've seen in the past. And some people in other videos, other creators are saying that this person that tweeted, right? So yeah, this is the person who also had a song written by David, not necessarily like about her, but if you guys read the lyrics and you were reading the lyrics, you'll see that each verse started with a letter of her name, and there were 2 separate I know, right? Seeing 2 of me is weird. And then each first line of the lyrics started with the letter of her name, and it spelled her name. So that's potentially this person right over here, right? So anyways, let me just go straight to the Reddit post, because on Reddit today, it basically said right here, so victim number 3 statement following David's arraignment. And so this is a photo that was posted on Reddit with the victim's statement. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. Obviously, the photo of this person is redacted for her privacy, but she did allow for a statement to come out for the public to see. And it says, "Hi, everyone. I know nobody knows who I am, but I was a victim of David Burke. I'm just going to say how happy I am to see him arrested. My identity has remained hidden because I deserve a life outside of the case. I went through a lot with David, and this is all very hard for me, but to see him behind bars brings a smile to my face. I feel safer and more at peace with my life. I appreciate everyone who helped bring me and other victims to justice. I know things haven't fully been done, but they will be. This is what I have to say to the public. Let me know when you release this. Thank you." And so this was the photo. So let's go ahead and just kind of read this. And so the person who posted this on Reddit said, "To begin with, this is not victim number 1, who was a girl whose text messages were leaked online and who subsequently posted on Reddit to share her perspective on David. She later removed her post. Celeste came after and is victim number 2, and this statement pertains to victim number 3. SF suggested David having seen her on Valentine's Day 2024 at the mansion alongside Celeste on the same evening at 8:04. So this statement pertains to victim number 3, the person who SF suggested David having seen on Valentine's Day 2024 at the mansion along Celeste on the same evening at 8:04, which we knew since November 2025 as true. We at D4VD have maintained communication with her since late November 2025, thanks to our sleuths. Earlier on, we verified that this is indeed one of the victims with unseen video and numerous unseen photographic evidence. She ultimately found the courage to speak with a certain private investigator in January 2026, and I'm assuming that this is SF Investigates. The situation remains uncertain regarding whether the DEA will impose additional charges on David in the future. What she has disclosed to us over the months is she be regarded with absolute seriousness. Should be regarded with absolute seriousness. However, we cannot elaborate on the specifics here as it is contingent upon the DA's decision to pursue this matter. May I take this opportunity to thank her for sharing a statement to the public. Oh, Lord. Oh, Lord. Thoughts? Thoughts? No, this is not KH. Not KH. This is another one. And actually, no, not with that letter. Doesn't start with that letter either. I'm curious. What does that even mean? SF did say there was simultaneous situations going on Valentine's Day. Am I understanding that correct? Yes, absolutely 100% correct. If what this post is saying is true, then yes, this would have been the other person David was going back and forth with on that Valentine's Day evening. That is crazy. First Liberties Podcast says this will not lead to another investigation without a name and proof of her age and the illegal activity. I can tell you now that the police are aware of this information. So this is just really, you know, the victim's opportunity to come out with a statement. Both were in high school. She dated him, saw him 2 times. So the other person that I just showed you guys, Kiara, and actually I've shown her photos before, but you know, definitely was wrong of me to do so without first obtaining her information. But her photos have been placed, have gone out on Reddit too, so it's not like I was the first person to show them. So, but yeah. Jazzy says, I would like to ask all the extra tall people how they shower. If you are taller than the water, do you just point the faucet straight up towards the ceiling? I just get stares, but I wonder. That is hilarious. This doesn't hold in court without proof of who exactly said this. Guaranteed that's 100% true. I just think for the sake of Reddit, though, that her identity has been, you know, privated. I do believe that this person has already come forward to law enforcement, and I think if I'm not mistaken, SF has already said that they've helped this person get in contact. So I think this is going to be a sight to see. Now, there was also another talk that, or another thing that SF said, that there was a third minor. So I'm very curious to see if the one that we mentioned earlier was that third minor. But this is something that we're going to have to wait and see. So I really don't know. Who's the girl in the music video? Where did it go wrong? Not entirely sure. Not entirely sure. Felonious Flacco said, I bend down. It sucks. Storm said, my ex had to bend down under the shower head. Oh, tall people problems. So yeah, recap, you guys. So David's Twitch got banned. He is no longer a Twitch partner. Maybe, you know, if the people of the internet feel a certain way about his YouTube material, you know, I think the way that they can do something about it is to go to his page, and I don't know if you'd want to report it, but I don't know if that would be the right way to do it. But maybe voice your opinions to YouTube. That could be a thing to do, right? Also saw earlier too that there was where was it? There was a petition for people to sign to get his music removed off all music platforms. I don't know if that's a possibility. There's a girl in the YouTube video. Oh, where did it go wrong? Let's take a look at that really quick. Oops, wrong one. Let's see. Okay, so I honestly, I would show it, but David and his people strike everything that you use in videos, whether it's a still image, whether you're playing the music video with no audio. Hold on, let me see. Let me just play this. I'll try to grab like a still image. Okay, so here we go. 1 second. So here is the person that you're asking about in the where did it go wrong video. Not entirely sure who this person is, but if anybody knows, let us know in the comments. Not entirely sure. Stop at the 2-minute mark. Oh, okay. I heard about that. Few countries are not letting Kanye in now. I'm very curious, you guys. But anyways, you guys, that's going to wrap it up for Filling in the Gaps this episode. I do appreciate all of you guys that came to hang out. Let me make sure I give a shout out to everybody who celebrated. Let me see. Edith celebrated two months as a member. I gifted 10 memberships. Raina became a new member. Talisha gifted 5 memberships. And Jazzy gifted 1 membership. Then Joe Mama celebrated 1 month as a member. Cindy celebrated 3 months as a member. Michi celebrated 2 months. Storm said 2 months, but it feels like 15 years. Peekaboo celebrated her membership for 3 months. And me, Blondie, celebrated 1 month as a member. So thank you all for hanging out, for listening to this information for the 4th, 5th, or 6th time tonight. I do appreciate it. Do me a favor, if you guys haven't already, hit the like button. If you haven't already, subscribe. It only helps the channel grow, and it seems like the past month we've been growing, so I do appreciate that. But that's going to be it. I'll see you guys tomorrow. If anything pops off, just know if I don't go live, I'll be in everybody else's chats. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care. I love you guys. And all the new members, welcome to the Inner Circle. Go to the community page, find that Discord link, join, become a member, and join the Discord. I promise you, you won't be disappointed, you guys. All right, you guys, that's going to be it. I'm wrapping up. Thank you guys, and have a good night. Peace.